So French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived in India on a visit seen as pivotal for the India-France ties. The French president reached Jaipur this afternoon. He was received by Rajasthan Chief Minister Bhajan Lal Sharma. Along with the Chief Minister was India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra. Upon his arrival, Macron visited Amer Fort in Jaipur in the Indian state of Rajasthan, and he met school students gathered there to welcome him. He appreciated Rajasthani paintings and interacted with artists there. A cultural performance to greet French President Emmanuel Macron. Macron is the chief guest at this year's Republic Day celebrations of India. He will meet India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Rambagh Palace Hotel tonight, where the two leaders will have a bilateral meeting. Defence cooperation tops the agenda for the talks. The two leaders will also hold a road show. Together, they will visit prominent attractions such as Jantar Mantar and Hawa Mahal. So it's been 25 years of the India-France strategic partnership spanning sectors such as defence, civil nuclear energy, space and more. With the President of France in India on a state visit now, DD India's Jessica Taneja decodes the India-French relations for you.
Invisible reach and instant kill. These Rafale jets with their 150-kilometer strike range can neutralize threats before they even blink. The French-supplied fighter jets enhance India's capability for a two-front war. For decades, France has been India's strategic partner beyond headlines and stealth defense. In May 1998, France defied pressure from its Western partners to fuel India's nuclear dreams, avoided Western sanctions, and even supplied uranium for India's first nuclear power plant. It even refrained from commenting on India's internal affairs.
I thank President Chirac for displaying better understanding of India's position on the question of nuclear test. His stand that economic sanctions will not help has proved to be true.
J'ai été heureux de constater que l'Inde était ouverte à toute solution conforme à ses intérêts, naturellement, et à son rang, et qui permettrait de permettre la non-prolifération dans le monde.
Whether it's former President Jacques Chirac or François Hollande, the enduring strategic partnership between France and India continues to gain momentum based on shared values and aspirations. From building Gaganyaaan's astronaut haven and tracking oil spills to launching satellites.
3, 2, 1, top!
France has been actively supporting India's space ambitions since 43 years. Beyond defense and space cooperation, the Indo-Pacific region takes center stage. French overseas territories generating 93% of its exclusive economic zone provide a strategic vantage point. France and India leverage this unique geopolitical position to assert their positions on global issues such as multilateralism, protection of the global commons, and freedom of navigation. Notably, France was the first country outside India's immediate neighborhood to conduct coordinated naval patrols in the Indian Ocean. Even though both nations commit to working together to ensure that there is no imbalance in the Indo-Pacific and navigate multipolarity together, the driving force of the Indo-Franco relations is in the sovereign realm of strategy and security, where the state's role is greater than the economy. Jessica Taneja for DD India.
And joining us now for perspective on the India-France strategic partnership and the visit of President Emmanuel Macron to India, particularly Jaipur now and New Delhi tomorrow. We are being joined by Professor Gulshan Sachdeva. He is with the School of International Studies with the JNU, a very eminent expert. Professor Sachdeva, such a pleasure to have you on this special broadcast. So what is exciting you the most today? Is it the strategic gravity in this relationship? Or is it the roadshow that is going to play out very soon in Jaipur, something which will reinforce the personal bonding that is there between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Macron?
In fact, I think all of this thing together.
Right.
You know, this is quite interesting. You see, we have different histories. We live in very different geographies.
Mm-hmm.
And we are at a very different stages of economic development. Still, you know, as your report shows, somehow our worldview has converged. You know, this is very, very interesting. I mean, France is very much part of, you know, European economic kind of integration project. And the core of this is also, in a sense, transatlantic partnership. Despite that, they basically are very, I mean, the core of, again, the French foreign policy is really strategic autonomy and independence. Despite being
and
part
so is ours.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So this is what exactly bringing both of us together. And what we have seen in the last 25 years, you know, we have today roughly about 35 plus strategic partnerships. And France was the first country with whom actually we signed this strategic partnership. And since then, you know, 3 Indian prime ministers, 4 French presidents, you know, the political parties have changed, governments have changed, but I think all of them have really nurtured this strategic partnership. And so many high-level meetings have taken place, and you're also, you know, rightly mentioned, you know, now the President Macron and Prime Minister Modi. I mean, they also have this ambition to really take this strategic partnership to much newer heights, which exactly has been happening in the last few years. And this is very much, I would say, captured in the last year when we, you know, released this joint 2047 vision. And this 2047 vision, actually, we have this 25 years in which, as a part of the strategic partnership, I think a very solid institutional mechanism has been built in almost all areas, of key areas. It's not just only defense, it's also space, it's renewables, it's maritime security, it's science, technology,
It's
Indo-Pacific, all those things together.
So on and so forth, yeah.
And I think what actually in the last few years, what I would say, which has really made the qualitative difference, I would say, in the last few years, despite having all the very solid partnership and solid base of India-France partnership. One is, of course, India buying Rafale from France, so that has really strengthened further. At the same time, the whole Indo-Pacific narrative. So I think these two things have really brought these two countries together, and then in the whole, the global geopolitics, which has really changed. And particularly during Trump presidency, the France and all Europeans, they were quite worried about, you know, that this, even
there
if
was
still
a friction there
friction, and still there are, you know, there are worries now about second Trump presidency.
Yes.
So, you know, so it means the kind of new partners, like-minded partners, those who are looking for multipolarity, those who are looking for strategic independence, at the same time also effective multilateralism. I think all those issues together, and then of course personal chemistry of leaders, which has really made what this Indo-French strategic partnership is today.
Yes. Also, Professor Sachdeva, we are counting down to those moments when a roadshow will play out in Jaipur. We've seen a lot of frenetic diplomacy under the Modi government in the last 9 to 10 years. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi also makes that extra effort to forge a personalized relationship with leaders, to have personalized diplomacy. And perhaps that helps in leveraging also the relationship and sorting out issues which are intractable in nature, in ensuring that India's heft rises in the diplomatic circles and strategic circles. So how crucial do you think this has become as an arm of India's foreign policy?
Well, I think this is very important because personal relationship between leaders and displaying in a different manner. But of course, I mean, the basic fundamental thing is that you have to have convergence of certain interests. There has to be, whether these are strategic or they are economic. But at the end of the day, even when all the negotiations on different issues have been concluded or they are under process, and finally, you know, sometimes very small things are really, you know, you have to have that personal touch to get things moving. And I think this is what Prime Minister Modi has done. And it's not just only with France. I think we have also seen with the United States. We have also seen with many other countries in the world. And this is what I will say the qualitative difference again. No.
But within Europe, would you say that this partnership is special between a European country and India, is what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. No, within Europe, yes. You know, this is, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, even when we have, I mean, this was the first country, not just only in Europe, in the whole world with whom we signed strategic partnership.
Yes.
And
and
many
it
of
stood with us in difficult times after Pokhran II.
Because this is what I mean, one also has to realize that when we signed this strategic partnership in 1998, I mean, this was also the time when, you know, we just, you know, after the test, and we were under sanctions. We were in all kind of accusations against India. And then this was the, you know,
France did not sign up on the sanctions.
No, not only that. I mean, not only that. After that, they also wanted that India should be part of the whole solution of all the nuclear issues what we have, and it has to be part of in the whole framework. And I think France has also worked very, I mean, you know,
the first nuclear deal that India had was with France after the energy waiver,
you know, yeah, I mean, you know, many of those nuclear deals still we are continuing. How do we really? Because in between many other things have also happened. Our relations with the United States have also improved.
But the intent is very much there, and it's been pretty strong from the start.
Yes, and even now, in fact, you know, but the only thing is that today, for the last many years, we have been talking about civil nuclear thing with France and also with other countries as well. But I think the whole global energy scene has changed. So now we are talking about hydrogen, we are talking about many other things at the same time, environmental issues, there are also cost factors, so many other factors, and of course the legal and technical issues, whether our laws, etc. So as a result, some of the things may not be able to perhaps be able to implement, but the content is there, intent is there, and in all those issues still we are working very, very closely with France and with other, and you know, the France, since, you know, even if they have certain difficulties with America and they also want to have, say, independent and strategic autonomy, but we also be very clear that there is also very strong transatlantic partnership, and they are also very much part of, you know, now NATO and also the whole strategic alliance what they have. So, so they also work very closely with all other Western partners, despite having certain difficulties and intention to have strategic autonomy in that sense. So all those things, and this is exactly to some extent have coincided with us, because we also work with like-minded so many countries. At the same time, we also want to assert our own strategic autonomy and foreign policy independence. And I think these are the kind of issues. So it means broadly, I would say
But we've always asserted our foreign policy and a strategic autonomy, both India and France in their relationship, isn't it? Because, for instance, when there was talk at one point in time last year to expand the NATO, India made it very clear it wouldn't want to be part of the NATO, and France also did not want that NATO expansion to happen. Similarly, for the Quad Plus concept, I mean, India did not, or France or India were not countries that were looking at a Quad Plus sort of a partnership. So we've respected mutually each other's strategic autonomy, isn't it? And perhaps, which is why this has stood the test of time, because there are no extraneous expectations.
But I think there is a difference in a sense that, you know, we continue to have independent foreign policy or our own strategic autonomy because we are not alliance partner of anyone.
Yes.
But that's not true in the case of France. So France is qualitatively different because they are very much part of certain economic and security architecture of Europe.
But there
and
is
also
no push and pull is what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
there is a mutual respect
yes.
for the stand that they've taken, and both have their own independent way of thinking. On Ukraine, for instance, we may not be on the same page, but still we are closer than what India is to other European partners.
No, this is very clear that, I mean, today, major foreign policy challenge as far as Europe is concerned or even France is concerned is what is happening in Ukraine or the Russia-Ukraine war. And it's also very clear to everyone that India's perceptions of Ukraine conflict, Ukraine war is very different than what other Europeans, other Western countries are. So in the beginning, I would say there was a little bit of disappointment in Europeans that, they perhaps expected that we are a very close strategic partner of them and we will be basically aligning with them. And then when they realized that India has taken its own independent position for various reasons, because our own relations with Russia, at the same time our own understanding of the unfolding situation and also certain security and other concerns of Russia as well. So I think after a while, I think they have all understood India's position and they have respected India's position, and that has not really affected in any meaningful way, I would say so far, our relations with France or with the European countries. So that's what exactly I think, the respect of each other's priorities are.
Yes, and talking of Ukraine, would you say that going forward, as perhaps there would be a realization with time that a diplomatic solution is the only solution insofar as the Russia-Ukraine war is concerned, do you think that two leaders who can pick up the phone anytime and talk to President Putin to discuss the possible contours of a diplomatic solution are Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Macron? And we've seen in the initial months of the war how President Macron tried talking to him on the phone for several hours, even went and met President Putin, and India has also tried and put across the point to President Putin that now is not the era of war. So do you think that if there were to be a diplomatic solution, potentially these two leaders can play a key role?
Well, as far as Ukraine or any other conflict is concerned, I think what the history has taught us that ultimately you have to sit at the table and find a solution to that. Because it's very difficult, in fact, to find, I would say, military solution to many of those conflicts. Right. And I think only few leaders and few countries that we have mentioned about France and also India, and perhaps few others which they have been trying with those countries which have close relations both with Europe and also with Russia, so they can intervene. And I think, and for that reason, sometime, initially even President Macron was even criticized within Europe because they thought that he's lenient towards Russia. But what he was trying to do that
but
maybe
some may say these are his negotiation skills.
Negotiation skills, yeah. Well, I mean, this is what exactly, but I think you're right. I mean, in some sense, countries like India and France perhaps can play much more, I would say, active role in resolving conflict in not just only in Ukraine, but many other conflicts as well in the world.
Right. Let's get another perspective now. Ambassador Shilkant Sharma